process of resuming. I am in the process of resuming. I seem to have had a notice of a stop. So let me focus very quickly on my 8 minutes before my time is up. I want to focus on a verse that all of us know as the shortest verse in the Bible within the context of the scripture that I read. And it is the 35th verse, which simply says, Jesus wept. This is an extraordinary statement. Knowing with Martha that Jesus is the Messiah, of the Son of God, knowing that he was fully capable of raising the dead to life, we just read, Jesus wept. Let's try to put ourselves in Jesus' place for a few moments. Lazarus is sick, number one. Jesus tarries, he takes his time so that Lazarus can die. 3, Lazarus is dead for 4 days, and now his body is beginning to smell. Jesus knows that he will raise Lazarus from the dead. And 5, Jesus weeps. Why does Jesus weep? He knows that all who die in faith will be raised from the dead to heaven. He also knows that Lazarus, in particular, will be raised to life in a short few minutes, because he himself will raise Lazarus from the dead. So why does Jesus weep? So there is something significant about Jesus here. Jesus weeps in the first place because Mary was at his feet weeping for her dead brother. The Jews standing around were also weeping. As a result, Jesus groans in his spirit, and he was troubled. Here is the Son of God, the creator of earth, and he weeps, knowing that this is not a sickness unto death. Ultimately, Jesus knew that, because when they came and told him about Lazarus' sickness, he said that his sickness is not unto death. But because Mary and the Jews are weeping, he groans, not because Lazarus is dead, but he groans for the grief of Mary and the Jews. He groans out of empathy. Now, we talk a lot about sympathy, but Jesus is groaning out of empathy. The difference between empathy and sympathy is that empathy is the ability to understand and to share what the other individual is going through. You share the feelings of the other individual, where empathy only deals with what you see the other person going through. Well, as Jesus travels to the grave, he now not only groans, but he gives he weeps. He actually weeps. He weeps because his friend Lazarus is dead. But why would he do that, knowing that he will raise Lazarus to life in a few minutes? He weeps because death is always painful, and it is especially painful to the Son of Man. The truth is that Lazarus was truly dead, and he was stinking from the death, and that gave Jesus pain. But there was much more at work here than that. In meeting Lazarus' death, Jesus meets his old enemy, death. Not just the deadness of a man who would shortly be alive, but death itself. Here is Jesus, who is the resurrection and the life, locked in mortal contact with death, mortal combat with death. Here is Jesus coming to grips with the death that is the wages for the sins of the whole world. Here is Jesus setting his face like a flint toward the cross. Here is Jesus so sympathizing with the death of Lazarus and the death of humanity that he feels. There he has sympathy. Here is the God who is love. Even the Jews saw it, because at one point they said, behold, or look at how he loved them. This love from one who is love to be our love. This is why it matters that Jesus wept. As Jesus came to the cave, which was a grave, he groaned within himself for a third time. He does this after some of the people say, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also keep this man from dying? Well, Jesus knows the pain and suffering that is necessary to save a world of pain and suffering. He knows that though he is God, those made in his image will continue to suffer and to die until he suffers and dies for them. Aren't you glad that you're one of them? I am so glad that he suffered and he died for me. Even then, their sufferings and deaths will continue to the end of time and the final death of death. This cry of the Jews, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also keep this man from dying? This is similar to the taunts that the Jews will have for Jesus when he hangs on the cross. And they're going to say he saved others, but himself he cannot save. It pains Jesus that the means by which sin and death will be defeated is through his own suffering and death, and through the suffering and death of his disciples as they will unite with him. So one of his disciples said, let us also go that we may die with him. Jesus said to Lazarus, come forth. And he says to us every day, day by day, he says to us, come forth. And he will give us life because he has died for us. Now let me challenge you that as we walk through this journey with the Lord, that we would pray our way through the day, walk with the King, and be a blessing.